Hi, welcome back to Halloween House.
So we have an interesting topic for you today, crop circles, where they come from, where they originate from.
Why are they here?
Why are they here? Are they aliens? Anyways, I'm going to try to stay away from the word hoax, and hopefully you understand my point of view as the video goes on. I don't want to detract from the artist. And I feel like calling it a hoax is detracting from the artist.
Yes.
So, where do we begin?
What is a crop circle?
Yes, what is a crop circle?
It's usually an area in a field that is somehow flattened in a pattern. Normally a circle, but not always.
And they weren't always called crop circles. They were originally called UFO nest or saucer nest. The term crop circle wasn't coined until mid-1980s by Colin Andrews. Before then, they were always called UFO nest.
Yeah, they just didn't know what it was at all.
Yeah.
The mystery.
Yeah,
Ooh.
but it wasn't until the 80s until they started becoming called crop circles. I guess a lot of, you do some research and a lot of people incorrectly attribute the first crop circle or nest to 1678 in Hertfordshire, England. And it was certainly some sort of phenomenon, but we don't believe it was the first crop circle. It was an old wives' tale about a mowing devil.
Some guy needed to have his field mowed, and he just wasn't happy with the labor prices at that time. So he said, I am not going to pay any of this pricing. I'd rather pay the devil.
Yes. And this story was printed in a...
like a brochure.
Yeah.
Pamphlets were routinely distributed at that time.
Right.
So
after he made that pact with the devil or whatever, that evening, it appeared that his fields were on fire.
Yeah, there was all kinds of light out in the field.
Of course, this was before electricity. But the next day he went out and they weren't burnt.
Right.
But it was all flattened out and stuff like that. And to quote him, placed every straw with an exactness that would have taken up and above age for any man to perform what the devil did that one night. The stalks within the fields were flattened and not broken. So.
Very interesting story.
Yes, and that was the first
documented instance of this phenomenon.
Yes.
So yeah, I mean, there's been others documented. Seems like they kind of originated in like southern England for the stories.
Yeah, near Stonehenge.
There was a scientist in 1880, John Rand Capron, who also reported a formation and said the field of wheat was knocked about, but not entirely, and in patches forming, as viewed from a distance, circular spots. So he thought that maybe there was some kind of cyclonic wind action. That was his explanation for it. Yes. But that was another documented case of it.
Yep. And then in 1966 in Australia, this is purportedly the first one that happened outside of southern England. George Pedley in Tully, Australia, he reported seeing a flying saucer or UFO take off from a lagoon that was on his property. And according to George, it left a nest-like mark at about 30 feet in diameter. And he said the reeds were fused together and they seemed to be swirled in a clockwise direction. And there was really no explanation for that either. But again, it was a nest. And
he attributed that to a flying saucer.
Yes, he did. And so Colin Andrews was the person that coined the term crop circle. He's the author of Circular Evidence, and he's investigated over 4,000 crop circles in over 50 countries.
Wow. So
now at this point, by the 80s, 90s, they're all over the world, and they're numbered in the thousands. So, but this is something we would probably think of doing.
So two buddies in 1978 were drinking in a pub out in Wiltshire, England, And Doug Bauer and his pal Dave Chorley decided to go in the wheat field and make it look like a flying saucer had been there.
Yes.
And they did this for 25 years before confessing that they had made possibly up to 200 of these.
Yeah.
And so...
It never got caught.
No?
Never got caught.
What a fun little game. And that they stretched that out a long time.
They did. And their confession did inspire another wave of artists, copycats, if you will. When asked how they did record themselves doing it. What they used was a wooden plank with handheld ropes to flatten it, and some sort of baseball cap fitted with a wire so that they can make the perfect circular patterns.
And also for straight lines as well, because who knows how complicated theirs got over 25 years.
Yeah.
I doubt they stayed with a simple circle at that point.
And back to Colin Andrews, like we said, these artists, these crop artists, have never been caught on tape. And there was an attempt. Colin Andrews coordinated with the BBC and the Ministry of Defense to put a large area of Wiltshire, under surveillance to see if they could catch people doing this.
Yeah, they called it Operation Blackbird.
And this was a little bit of an embarrassment for them because on the second day of surveillance,
somebody snuck in and got one in.
And got a crop circle in completely undetected. They don't know how they did it, but they did it, and they just stopped the surveillance because that was just
a
whoopsie.
Now they're getting more complicated.
Yes,
they're not just circles. They are exquisite patterns in the fields.
Yeah. So a lot of people think maybe they're aliens or time travelers. There's a Horace Drew. He has a PhD from Caltech, and when he was 10 years old, growing up in Jacksonville, Florida, he claimed to have seen his first UFO. He described it as a windowless craft hovering in the sky, and that led to a lifelong fascination with exobiology or extraterrestrial life. And he has worked as a molecular biologist, and he's been researching crop circles for over 20 years, and he believes they're the work of aliens or human time travelers. He believes some of the crop circles can be decoded and linked to time travelers and alien life. He believes aliens are trying to introduce themselves to us peacefully. And his second theory is human time travelers from the distant future that are creating these circles as markers to help them navigate, because their distant past would be our present, if that makes any sense. I don't know.
It makes sense to him.
Yes, it does. Yes. And he also believes that they're created by an unknown energy that heats the crops up. And this is one theory a lot of people do believe in, that it's aliens or time travelers. So,
He is reading the binary codes that he's coming up with from them too. So that's pretty interesting theories that he's going on.
And the more sophisticated crop circles, they're based on mathematical equations. There's an astronomer, Gerald Hawkins. He studied how several crop circles were based on specific numerical relationships. And that's based on Euclidean geometry. Geometry and math was not my strong suit in school. But in of the 25 crop circles he has analyzed, he discovered that crop formations possess fundamental geometric harmony similar to musical chords. And some musicians have used the algorithms to convert crop circles into music. Mm-hmm. And one of the more well-known of those musicians was Paul Vigay. Sorry if I'm mispronouncing that. Paul did sadly passed away in 2009 of mysterious circumstances, and that almost sent me down another rabbit hole. Another interesting story, but we're going to try to stay on track. So if you want to hear some of that music, definitely Google Paul Vigay.
And they are using more and more computers to make some of these images. And so the algorithms that they use can get very complicated, and that's probably why we're seeing more than just a circle in some of these instances. And I mean, geez, compared the computers today to the 80s, we have more computing power in our cell phone than they had in a whole room. So they could be even doing this on their cell phone if they had the right technology.
In 1996, arguably one of the most complex circles appeared in the Wiltshire countryside near Stonehenge. It was called the Julia set. I don't know how to explain it. That's another thing you're going to have to Google. But it was claimed to have appeared in the daylight, but it was later on revealed that it was created in 3 hours by quote-unquote hoaxers or artists. Purportedly, they spent 3 hours in the early morning designing this crop, and it just wasn't discovered until later that afternoon when a plane flew over it. So these artists, the work itself doesn't take long. As long as you have the planning set out beforehand, going in and doing the actual work is the fairly easy part.
Yeah.
I use the term easy sparingly. I mean, it's difficult.
I'm sure once you do a couple of them, it is somewhat easy.
Right.
And if you have a good crew that works together, that's got to be a good point also.
Yeah. But some of the tools supposedly that they use, because the cereologists that they're called, or crappies are called, they're cereologists, the Greek goddess of agriculture.
I like crappie.
Crappie, yes. They use stompers, which we had mentioned with Colin Andrews, Bowers, and I keep forgetting his name.
Chorley
was your very simple board with ropes attached.
Some of them also have said that they take a bar stool out there so that they can hop over rows without disturbing them.
Yes.
And so just very basic things that most people have around the house.
And to get the perfect circle, they would use strings, like the 1976 people, Chorley and Bowers.
You got it.
Got it. They would just attach a string in the center. So then all you have to do is follow the string around. That would give you your perfect circle. So and they use garden rollers as well. And I don't know, a lot of people try to say it's earth energy, like electromagnetic fields or radiation or
like a dust devil.
Yeah, or wind vortexes or something like that. They're a little bit too exact to be not planned.
Yeah, because you imagine even like a tornado or something barreling through. It doesn't just sit there and hover and go away.
And make perfect geometrical designs.
Yeah.
So we're definitely going to attribute this to artists. And little did Chorley and Bauer know that they would spark one of the most secretive and science-based art movements in history. So
pretty cool.
Very interesting stuff. But as you gather, we do not believe it is aliens or...
No, and other
like
things,
that.
theories people have had besides aliens are some sort of aircraft that pushes the downdraft, and that's been tested, and it doesn't work.
They can't recreate it.
So,
and although I do believe in alien life, I mean, if space is infinite and we exist, certainly other life forms exist. However, I do not believe they're responsible for the crop circles. I think they're very talented artists. I would imagine graduate students in math or physics, something along those lines.
Yeah.
So
we'd like to meet you if you've made one of these.
Yes. So if you've ever seen a crop circle or if you've ever had one pop up on your property, please let us know. We'd love to hear from you. And of course, if you ever made one, we would love to hear from you. We know you like to keep it a secret, though, so we understand. But thank you for watching.
Yes. Stay spooky.